it's like no one with a brain that's functioning is really going to think, that I did anything wrong, and I know he's not stupid, man. I know he's not stupid. He's a smart dude. Like, that's why he's had success in everything he does. Like, but sometimes, like you said, that's what sells, man.
What's up, everyone? Chris, I know that you've won a 2.8 million win recently. You finally won a bracelet, so that's a big deal. And you've had quite a history before that with over 10 million plus in tournament winnings. And I think I've heard you've done quite well at crypto, but I'm not sure. That's something to talk about if you want to, or if that is even accurate. But yeah, it seems like you've had like a long road in poker. And also some beef with Doug that you may want to clear up, because it seems like Doug's being a bit unreasonable.
No, I agree with that 100%. I think he's definitely being unreasonable.
Well, let's jump into that, actually, because that seems to be what you want to talk about first. I think
all right,
being accused of stealing money for players is a pretty hot topic of sorts. Well, not steal money, but just I don't even know what to call it, to be honest. What would you call it? Just being accused of being really cheap is
yeah, I guess something, which is pretty wild, because everyone that knows me knows that I'm far from cheap. I'm probably the most generous person in the whole community. So, the people that know me know what's up, man. Basically, my dad died. I've been paying for everything for my family for a long time, and it was just a situation where my mom and my sister, my mom's wasn't even married to my dad anymore. She has a new husband. They live on the East Coast. I live on the West Coast. Her and my mom started that GoFundMe. They just wanted to help out, man. They just knew, obviously, it's sad times for me. I'm going through a lot. They just wanted to feel like they were contributing to something, and so they made that GoFundMe. I didn't even know about it for several days after they had launched it. Didn't even know. And then they finally messaged me, asked me to share it a couple of times. I kept telling them no, because I knew it would just cause a bunch of drama. And then, they just kept on asking, like, you have a lot of friends that you've helped out. I'm sure they won't mind helping back out. And, so I was like, fine. I put it on Twitter. Just for the people that basically, I do a lot for a lot of people, man, and so the people that donated back are people that just wanted to help back for my family, and it got like, I want to say it was like $6,000, where only like half of that was from like poker people. They were all like my friends and stuff. So it's like, and he's out making this big deal. Like I don't know if he's thinking I'm scamming or whatever the it is, being cheap, over a few $1,000s whenever he knows the type of money we spend on a regular basis and the things that we do on a regular basis and the tournaments I play. And it's just a joke, man. I think he's really just doing it for clicks. He likes to use people that have bigger names or just people that have success or whatever. He likes to, shit on them and stuff. But I'm pretty over it, man. Like, I was kind of giving him a bunch of shit on Twitter. Afterwards, I would keep like tagging him and stuff, but I'm past it, man. I'm ready to put it to rest. Like, I have no beef with anybody in the world except him. Back in the day, I used to be a lot different with that. I changed a lot. There's really no reason for the negativity. So, I mean, he's the only one I really have any beef with, and so, like, what's the point, man? I'm over it. Let him do his thing. It's just what it is. I mean, the people that know me know what's up, so that's all that matters to me. The people that want to talk shit are usually just his little followers with like 50 followers, or people with burner accounts, and no one that knows me actually thinks anything was bad. So
yeah, it's fair to say. I'm not really sure what he's doing. It does seem like, I don't know if he really thinks this or not. I personally, I don't know. It seemed like a bit of a hot take. Is that the word? Of
yeah, I
having
mean,
lived
even the ground who
influence.
came in, I was like, this is clearly what's going on here, and I know he's had beef in the ground you in the past too, but I think they kind of made up or whatever. But I mean, it's just like anyone with a working brain knows what's going on here. And I mean, he's a smart guy. Doug's a smart guy. I refuse to believe he's that big of a fucking idiot. Like, I know he's not. So I don't understand what he's doing or why he's running his mouth like that. But, you know, this is what he does. This is how he gets clicks. You know, he grifts off the community, his little community. You know, he makes a lot of money off these little people. So, yeah, whatever. Whatever they want to believe, those people don't matter to me. So, it's cool.
He can be a bit judgmental at times. I will say that it comes to judgments fairly quickly, more so than most people. It's not a common trait in poker. What other? I have actually been to your parties, so it looked like you're generous because usually the people that throw parties tend to be on the generous side. Do you want to talk about other ways that you have shown your generosity to the poker world? Because it is a world that isn't very I would say the poker world's a bit stingy in general. I would say they don't seem to understand the concept of why we're supposed to be generous.
Yeah, well, I'm, you know, like asking me and my friends, man, I do so much for everyone. A lot of my friends are busto, man. I mean, just to be straight up, like, and, you know, I take all my friends to all these events, man. You know, I take all my friends to UFC events, you know, Golden Knights games, Raiders games, you know, everything, college basketball tournaments here. Like, I'm the one buying tickets for all these people, you know. And then as far as like other stuff, man, the thing is about this GoFundMe thing is I have donated 10x the amount of money that GoFundMe raised to other people's GoFundMes, you know. I mean, just like last month, I donated $1,000 to Bob. You know, Bob had a new hip. You know, I gave him $1,000 for that. You know, and like he don't talk about that, of course. You know, I spend 5 figures, sometimes close to 6 figures a year just feeding homeless in Vegas. You know, so like this little 3,000-4,000, whatever it was that the poker community gave back to my mom and my sister to help. And like the thing was I ended up paying for the whole funeral. That money was to help. My sister was living with my dad. She's got a kid who's actually turned 6 today. So happy birthday to Tyler. That's awesome. You know, and she's a single parent, man. The dad has not been in the picture since day one. I've actually never met the guy. I don't want to meet the guy because I don't even want to think what the things I could do to this guy. But you know, it's tough for her, and my dad's house needed a lot of work. And you know, when he was alive, he was kind of stubborn, wouldn't let it happen. I remember one of Doug's followers like, "Oh, why didn't the house need work before he died? Only after." It's like, what kind of fucking idiot is this person, you know? But the house needed work, man, and she needed a place to live. So, like, you know, the money that she raised went to help her fix up the house. She had to put brand new flooring in. The flooring was sinking in. So there was a bunch of shit wrong with the house. So it still is some stuff wrong. But, yeah, so it is what it is, man. Everyone, like I said, everyone knows me, knows how generous I am, man. It's really, it doesn't bother me. The Doug shit, I'm ready to put it in the past. I got way important things to focus on. I got 2 kids. I got a family. You know, it's like, this guy doesn't matter to me, man. If you need to use my name to make money, then do what you got to do, buddy.
All right, fair enough. I think it doesn't seem like there's a high likelihood that you're trying to shirk in some way, at least from my point of view. But I don't know. I don't know what his what's the word, like to stand on is. Well, let's talk about some poker. Why don't we talk about this $2.8 million win? Because apparently it seemed like you were after a World Series bracelet for a long time. So that must have been a good one to win through the whole, what was it, the 100K on June 20th, I read.
Yeah.
Were there any things that, Were there any things that changed before winning that helped you to win that were lacking in the past? Or would you just say it was mostly, well, I mean, of course, there's loads of luck involved, but was there any other factors that changed to help you get there?
Well, so the last like 5 years, I really haven't played that much. You know, I started a business, OTC Trade, which some people know about. Ran that for a couple years with my buddy. We were co-founders, and then we had to shut that down because our government sucks, basically. But that is, you know, what it is. But I hadn't really played a lot. Then last year, I had decided I was going to put a full summer in for the first time in I think 5 years. And then halfway through the series, my father passed away. So I had a couple deep runs at the beginning. Then my dad died. And then, all this Doug Polk shit was going on, like literally like the week my dad died. He's going off on the internet about me and stuff. Like it's really insane. But so basically I didn't cash a single tournament the rest of the summer after my dad died. It was pretty crazy. Lost a pretty good chunk of money. And so this year I wasn't even sure I hadn't even played. I think I played like a tournament or two at the Winne back in November or something. I think can't remember. I think I went to the Bahamas and played a couple tournaments. And other than that, I hadn't played much. And then this summer, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be playing. I've been doing some crypto stuff, like farming stuff, and was spending a lot of hours doing that. I was staying up late. I was up to like 4, 5, 6 a.m. every day. Wasn't really on a schedule for poker. And then, I just had this thought about how my dad, he was just my biggest fan, man. He always wanted to see me get a bracelet. And I've been so close so many times. I had 2 seconds already, a third, I think like a fourth, like 2-6. So I've been there, I think I have 9 or 10 WSOP final tables. So I was, I've been in the mix. He's seen me close and he never got to see me win one. So I made this big post on Facebook, basically. It was just like, basically talking about how rough my year had been and, how it really hit me that I needed to go out and win one for my dad, man. So, the money's obviously nice. Like, the tournament I won was a great one to win. And, it's a great honor for me because I finally was able to get one for my dad, and that's really what it was all about for me.
Oh, that's really nice. I'm happy that worked out for you at least. That's
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to get that monkey off the back, I tell you that.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're like holding that on, having that in the back of your head for a long time, that must be really annoying.
Yeah, especially because, like I said, I had been playing way, way less. I hadn't really, poker really wasn't my number one thing anymore. So, I started thinking about how the time is getting limited. If I'm not playing much, it might never happen. So it's really nice to get that one out of the way and, just do that for my dad, man. It means a lot to me.
I'm sure he would be proud. Were there any big hands that happened during the match that you remember that were really pivotal? I remember, there was one really, there was a pretty straightforward hand where you had like a pair of nines, the guy had jacks, and you get all in. It seems like an obvious, more or less obvious spot. There's not a whole lot you can do there. At least at like most turns come. Were there any other hands that contributed to you winning? Was it just pure luck that happened, or were there any big decisions that worked out in your favor?
So that final table was crazy, man. It was literally the craziest final table I've ever been a part of. Poker Go said they did insane numbers. Like, it was scripted for TV. Like, every single all-in at the final table, whoever it was that got it in bad won the hand somehow. It was crazy, man. Just constantly. So, I know everyone's like, oh, Jeremy ran so bad. Like, he got it in bad 5 times in a row and won all 5 of them. Like, he'll even tell you. He's like, I got lucky. Like, I was due to lose one of those. But I know, I had earlier there was a weird hand, actually, where Isildur opened the cutoff, but he misclicked to, 3.2x or something. And, everyone at the table knew he misclicked. It was pretty obvious, right? And then, so I have ace-jack on the button. And I think we're 5 or 6-handed. I want to say 5-handed. It's kind of a weird spot now, right? He's done 3.2 exit, but everyone knows he misclicked. I end up just flatting, and then Osmus jams 30 bigs from the small blind. And obviously, especially ICM final table, this is a spot where you're probably just always folding in a normal setting, right? But now that there's that extra money in there and everyone knows he misclicked, there's kind of a meta game going on here. Is he just taking this with some suited Broadways, or is he just, taking a spot? So I tanked for a while, and I end up putting it in. And he had Queen Jack suited. So, I had him pretty dominated. But it ran out 9-8-3 flop or some shit, and then turned 10. So he hit that, and that was for 60% of the chips in play. So I would have had a massive chip lead, and he would have been out. It left me with 10 bigs. Then I ran it back up. I gotta try not to mix these hands up because I ended up final table in the next tournament, the 250K, and I know some crazy hands at that final table too. But I know I had there was another hand. Oh, Isildur misclicked another time where he opened the button and I 3-bet him. I 3-bet him with, was it Ace Jack suited or something? Ace 10 suited, Ace Jack suited or something. And he tried to call and he accidentally clicked it on me. Trying to call. He accidentally re-raised, basically men. So I jam and he just just calls it off. He had Ace 7 suited, I think it was. And he was just so annoyed. And then it just came. The thing too is it came like a king high flop or something. I don't know. Pretty dry flop. And then just turned 7. So if he does just call, he just folds the flop every single time. It was a flop there. He's just always folding. And so it actually, at first it was oh wow, I got lucky here. Now he's put all these chips in with Ace 7 suited. I got him dominated. And it ended up fucking me because he just ripped a 7 on the turn. So we had that hand. And then there was another hand I got sucked out on too. I can't remember. I sucked out on them 3 times. And then I got sucked out on 3 times at the final table. So it was pretty wild. I got it in. I think he opened the button. I shoved Ace 5 suited from the small blind. Or was it Ace? Yeah, Ace 5 or something. Ace 6 suited. He had Ace King. I think it was Ace 6 suited. He rivered the 6. I rivered the 6. And then one of the craziest hands was I shoved 19 bigs. I think it was blind versus blind with 5s against Osmus. And he called Ace Jack. And it just came out dry flop. And then turn Ace. And then just rivered the 5 of spades. And, I had a huge rail, so everyone went nuts. It was a pretty epic moment, man. And I think a lot of people have been talking about the video of that. Right whenever the flop came out and when the turn came, I went up to him and was like, "It's just your day or something." He's like, "Yeah, it must be," or something. I went ahead and went in for the premature handshake, the live pro moves. So went in there. He's like, no, man, this already happened to me last year, whatever. And I reached in anyway, grabbed his hand, and then just rivered the 5. So it was pretty awesome.
It's too funny. It worked out like that.
And then obviously the last hand, like you said, the last hand I had 9-7 diamonds. He 3-bet small out of the big, and we were pretty shallow. So he c-bet, I shoved on the 9 high flop. He had the jacks and river the 9. So it was my day finally.
Have to be on the right end of the right suckouts, I guess. Not go bust at the wrong suckouts.
For sure. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, because all the suckouts I had on me I was still a little bit of life left. So that's how turning poker is, man. You just got to have a chip out there. You still got a shot.
Yeah, pretty much. So there's nothing else in your mindset or anything that day that contributed? There might not be anything else. Just checking to see if there's any other additional factors that improved maybe your chances by an extra percent or extra few percent or something in the WSOP.
I mean, no, I just felt like I couldn't lose, man. I had the sickest rail of all time, man. It was so amazing, and I had my dad behind me, man. I just knew this was the one. I knew I was going to win. I mean, I think you can hear it on camera. I talked about it. I knew I was going to win, but obviously I got lucky a couple times. Got unlucky a couple times. That's how tournament poker is, but I don't know. In my mind, I knew I was going to win. I knew no one was going to be able to stop me that day. I just had more going for me than the normal poker tournament. So it was a pretty good day, man. And then, I immediately rested $250K the next day and got third in that for $2.4 million, I think. So it's like a $5 million week. It was pretty cool, man. It was my 2 biggest scores ever. So
just a casual $5 million week. Why not?
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, so the rail magic and your dad's magic.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it was a pretty amazing week. Shit. I also read you have the Triple Crown. I didn't even realize that you have all that. I didn't realize you'd played that many tournaments. Is there anything?
I played more than most. Played more than most people by far.
How many would you say you played?
So I've been playing poker 21 years, and I was living in Costa Rica for I think 7 or 8 years. So I started out grinding online, and then obviously when Black Friday happened, I ended up moving out to Costa Rica. I lived there for 7, 8 years. My wife and both my kids were born in Costa Rica. And then I moved to Vegas 7 years ago. And that's kind of when I started slowing down playing as much. And it's definitely online, you know, obviously in Costa Rica, I was playing online all the time. But yeah, I have a lot of those triple crowns on Pocket Fives and stuff. And, you know, I mean, I had a great online career, man. My graph, I don't think people actually realize, you know, or seen my graph, but my graph is one of the best you'll ever see in online tournament poker. So it's just straight up. Like there's, you know, very little bit. I only had one losing year since I started playing poker professionally. Like I've been playing 21 years, but I think professionally like 18 or something. I just had one losing year ever. So I mean, I've always done well, man, and you know, I'm pretty blessed for that. I was able to stay ahead of the curve, and even though these high rollers, I know for a little while, I think maybe now I'm getting a little bit of credit, but you know, if you look at my results, they're pretty good in these things, and I think a lot of people in this community that play these high rollers, you know, kind of thought I wasn't that good, or some of them still do, I think, but just because I'm not running sims and slaving over sims all day, but you know, I have a stable. I talk GTO and strategy and sims all day long, all the time with people. It ain't like I ain't putting in any work, but I also study all the live streams. And, you know, ever since, you know, me and Chance have been friends a long time. And, you know, he really put in my head a little while back about the live tells. Chance Corneth, yeah. So, you know,
okay.
We used to do a lot of ICO stuff back in the day. And he's always just been a friend. And we talk poker when we're on trips in Florida, stuff like that. And he used to really talk about live tells a lot. And, I mean, everyone knows now he's like the master of that shit. But before it really came out how good he was at that stuff, it really made me think about it. So I started studying all the live streams and picked up a lot of information doing that. So that always helped me as well, especially in the high rollers.
Can you share some of the stuff that you picked up, or is that all confidential?
Yeah, I'd prefer not to, man. There's actually a lot of different ways people hold their body mannerisms, the way they hold their hand, or the way they hold their face, or the direction they look. There's a lot of stuff, man. But I don't want to go into too much detail about that.
Okay. So, Chris, I'm curious, do you have any tells on me on my live streams?
I mean, I haven't watched too much of your stuff. You play mostly mixed games from what I've seen. I can't think of anything offhand, no. But it now makes me want to go watch and see if I can pick something up.
Sure. I think, well, one thing about the tells for me is I mostly don't feel anything. So I don't care what I do. When I start feeling things, I start injecting some noise. But maybe I've got some tells at some points, and maybe I should just be disciplined. But because of, yeah, I've just taken the approach of not really giving a shit a lot of the time. And I find people can't really tell.
You know, I think a lot of people, maybe not as much in the high stakes, but in a lot of these like 1500s and stuff, a lot of people try to like do reverse tells or something and that shit just don't work, man. I think that's actually a tell in itself. And a lot of these players that aren't as experienced, man, I think they're trying too hard to like try to fake stuff, and I think they give a lot of info when they do that.
That's interesting. I could see that being bad if they're very consistent. I've had a lot of success with injecting noise. I found people can not at all figure out what the hell I'm doing. But
Yeah,
um,
you're an interesting character out there on the tables, man.
I don't know what these. I'd have to see what these reverse tells would look like because, like if someone now does a reverse tell instead of like not not doing the tell on the other spot, it becomes a tell, right? So if they're
Exactly.
that consistent, um, I mean, there's ways of defeating that. If you're the person giving off the tells, but I'd have to like, are you get no examples or no?
I don't like talking about that stuff, to be honest, man.
All right,
I
all
mean,
right.
it's hard. It's a hard game to win at, and there's small edges on stuff like that, and I don't like to talk about it. I don't really like opening it up to for other people to learn. We're not talking about it anymore. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your stellar online results that people don't know about. What kind of ROI are we talking about, and how many tournaments? I know you've got 77 caches in unless this is old news, 77 caches in the WSOP. It seems like a lot to me, as a guy who's got like the 6 of them. And
you got some good ones though.
Yeah, I got a couple good ones. But I was talking to Daniel DeVoris last week or so on the podcast, and he was saying how most players only have like 3% ROI, and I would have to think that was in a live tournament. I was in like 25K for like Barcelona or something like that, and I thought I would think ROIs are a little higher than that in the 25K. But now what kind of ROIs are we looking at for online tournaments? I would think that they're lower.
I would actually have to look at my results again. Somebody actually asked about it the other day, so I found the graph. I hadn't seen it in a while. I don't remember what it said. I think it was around 25 to 30% though that I was at consistently over many. And that was over, I think, like a 60,000 tournament sample size or something. So it was, it was a big sample size. And I'll have to find the graph and send it to you. But it's not something I just like post out there and stuff. Try to stay humble and stuff. But whenever it gets brought up or some of my friends talk about it and ask for it, I look for it and show them and stuff. So, but yeah, I want to say it was around 20. I don't know why 26% is sticking out to me right now. I'd really have to look it up though and check. But it was like 5 million profit or something over like 60,000 games. With the average buy-in is $250 average buy-in or something. A lot of years of grinding the small stake, mid stake stuff, So
were any of those I guess those were not recent years. I'm really curious what the ROIs look like recent years, because those ROIs seem pretty damn good. Like that, the games are beatable if those are the ROIs.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't really grinded that much the last 5, 6, 7 years, so that was pretty much going up to that. I have had some pretty big scores. That graph ended like 5 or 6 years ago, I think 7 years ago maybe. But I've had some big scores. I had the big score in the Venom, and I've had a couple online scores. I haven't really played that much, but I've had some pretty good success. So it would be interesting to add that all in there now and form a new graph and see where it's at. Maybe I'll get one of my friends to do that, see how it is. Definitely, I did have a downswing on GG though a couple years ago, whenever all that cheating shit was going on, and when RTA really became a thing, and 100% I got over pretty bad there, and the buy-ins were huge. We were playing 25Ks every single day, so. But yeah, I definitely went on like I want to say it was like 500-600K downswing on there, and which
really?
Playing that big of tournaments isn't that crazy. It's only 20 buy-ins or whatever, but I'm pretty confident I was getting cheated pretty bad, so I don't really even play stuff that big online anymore. I don't trust it, and it is what it is. I'd rather just play live.
One thing I can tell you is that there are methods coming out to detect RTAers. I will not be speaking of them because the RTAers should get caught if they keep doing it, especially if there's warnings and things like that. So there might be a bunch of future bannings in the coming up. Well, we'll see. That's just the word on the street.
Yeah, I really hope so. I really hope so. It's really a stain.
How much do you think people were RTAing when you were playing on GG?
I don't know, man, but it feels like a lot. Like, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to piss anybody off. I don't want to accuse somebody of something I don't have proof for. But it definitely felt really weird. And, and then a lot of people did get banned around that time. And then all the Ali stuff and the Jake stuff and, multiple accounts, not even just RTA, just, them having several accounts into the tournaments as well. And I don't know. It's pretty shitty, man. it's just kind of crazy to me, you know, that they would do something that would stain the game that bad. Um, you know, I was always friends with Ali and Jake too, and so it's kind of disappointing. But it's in the past. I learned a lesson from it. It cost a pretty penny, but at the same time, man, it's just I don't really need to play online anymore, and so I'll play whenever I feel like playing, or if I like go on a trip or something. But outside of that, man, I'm just basically focusing on live poker. I put a lot of effort and studying into, like I said, live tells and stuff like that. So even online, though, people used to have timing tells and stuff online too, um, which that was kind of a thing for me for a long time. You could really pick up tendencies when people were bluffing. They would tank longer, or they would bet faster, stuff like that. And the those notes really helped me out. They seem to be pretty accurate for me, so that was something that was pretty good for me too. But yeah, as far as the cheating stuff, man, I don't have proof. I don't know who cheated. I just know I was getting cheated, and a lot of people were getting cheated, and I think a lot of people know they were getting cheated. So it is what it is. I mean, what can we do about it now, right? So just try to prevent it from keep happening.
I don't think many people are colluding, personally, but I do think
No,
people are RTAing. That's my personal
yeah, I think
guess.
RTA and I think multi accounting was like the two biggest problems.
I know that some clubs are putting in place some like what is it called
KYC.
KYC, your customer, some things like that. I played in a couple clubs in Club GT where we had to use like one account and that kind of stuff, and we had to announce our names and things like that. Um, so it feels like people are making attempts to at least fix it. It doesn't feel that bad. I mean, there's also I don't know for sure. I mean, I don't know about all the other sites. And one thing is that if multi-accounting is possible, you should just like I think that one possibility is like why not just unless it's totally like really like um I'm thinking if there's a clear rule against it, it's obviously bad. But if there's no rule against it and a lot of people are doing it, I mean, this was almost my logic when I did it, but I was wrong when I did it. Uh, is that like it makes sense to it becomes part of like the game if people are all actively doing it, but most of the time it is not not part of the rules. So most of the time it is bad. But this was the case of the Euro sites back in like 2012 and like this kind of stuff where the sites just didn't give a and like everyone was doing it.
Yeah, and I was kind of oblivious back then too. I didn't even realize how it was. I was playing a lot of those Euro sites too.
And also to clarify, by multi-counting, I mean just people using multiple accounts, but not people buying into tournaments with multiple accounts. That's a little bit different, in my opinion. It's like wild cheating. But yeah, that I don't think was going on that much, to be honest. Or at least if it was, it really blew over my head. I didn't know. I didn't think people were doing things like that, like colluding in tournaments and stuff.
I don't think that was a big thing back in the day. When I was saying multi accounting, I'm more talking of buying in multiple accounts at the same time, not just playing on like other people's accounts or whatever. Because I know, I mean, it got pretty proven that was happening on GG. So
Multiple accounts at
it's
the same time.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I think it's pretty well known news that Ali and Jake were buying in for several accounts.
oh, okay. That's I thought that was like okay, that's not what I was thinking of as multi-accounting. Oh, okay, that's a bit different. Yeah, I to reiterate, I don't think that was going on that much in general. Uh, I mean, back in the GG days, yeah, but before that, I don't really think it was going on that much. That's my personal guess. I think
Yeah, I agree with that too.
okay. All right, glad we're on the same boat for that one. I think more or
Yeah,
less.
Yeah, I mean, if I thought that was going on way back in the day, I would have quit online a long time ago. you know, so
Speaking of which, I think I read that you had a bit of a drastic Black Friday situation. Is that right? What was your
I mean, it's
situation?
similar to everyone else. Just having most of my net worth on these poker sites, and taking 5 years to get it back. Pretty much having to relocate my entire life to another country I'd never been to before. Same story a lot of people have. It wasn't nothing too crazy, but I had some friends that literally had their whole net worth on there. I know Telks, he had a house that he had just was buying in Vegas, and he owed the deposit on it. He had, I don't know, 300-400K on full tilt, and that was pretty much all his money. So he got pretty screwed there. Ended up not being able to buy the house, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those stories, right? Like everyone that wanted to keep playing professionally and for a living pretty much had to move out of the country or give it up and get a job. And I have friends. John Fiore, pimping you home, man. He's my buddy, and he was a good player back then, and he just didn't have the ability to up and leave. And there's other players too that just had to do other stuff, get jobs, and John was an entrepreneur though. He started his own business, so that's always good. But yeah, I mean, I felt for people then, man, because there were a lot of people that gave a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of hard work to become better poker players, and then it was just taken away from them.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy times, but it seems like you things worked out pretty well for you. Did you get out?
For sure.
Did you get into crypto also?
Yeah,
That's
I've
a
been in
rumor
crypto
that I
a long time for crypto. I got in, I want to say like 2013, I believe. It's almost 10 years ago. I bought my first Bitcoin at $70.
Damn.
Yeah. But I mean, I've had so much up shit happen to me since then, man. I should be way, way more well off than I am. And I got hacked for $10 million.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was bad. Bad time in my life, man. I honestly almost killed myself over that shit. It was pretty horrible, man. It changed my whole life. I had just had a kid, and if I didn't just have that kid, I honestly don't know if I'd be here today. I was in a real bad mental state when that happened. And, I still never really found out how that happened, even though I'm pretty positive I know who it was. And it's pretty sad. Sad stuff. And a lot of people know who this guy is. And he's in prison right now. He's going to be getting out soon. And yeah, it sucks, man. And then I had another situation a couple years ago where, like a hard vouch, an investment thing where I ended up having to pay out 100 Bitcoin. And obviously, at the time it was worth like 4 million. Now it's what 66.2 million today. So
Yeah, shit.
these are insane numbers, bro. These are numbers that people don't even make in their lifetime, and I'm over here, got hacked for that, and then had to pay this out. That's the thing with Doug, man. Like questioning my integrity over $3,000-4,000 GoFundMe when I, paid out, multiple millions of dollars in a hard vouch. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Like how many people in this community do you think would have even paid that hard vouch? Because, like, to me, my reputation ain't worth $6 million. You know what I'm saying? I still paid that shit. Like,
That's
it is
insane.
what it is. I did the right thing. It my whole life up. It's the second time, my life got turned upside down overnight. This one was on somebody else's mistake, too. It's not even something I did, so it's even more painful. And right after that, I had to pay out another $500,000 hard vouch for another friend that up and some sports betting stuff. And it was right after I had to pay the other shit. So I had to sell my house. Sold my house for $1 million. Didn't even get a single dollar from it. Had to pay out everyone. And so I mean, yeah, like okay, Doug, I'm scamming the community for $3,000, $4,000, but I paid out a fucking $4 million hard vouch. Like, what are you talking about, bro?
I don't know if he knows about those. I definitely didn't know about those ones. Uh,
I mean, I think he knows because it definitely got posted. I remember. I remember JMO commenting on it and stuff, and I'm pretty sure I ended up posting something on Twitter at one point when I was just like tilted as fuck about him running his mouth about me, and I think he knows, but he don't care about that. That's not what he cares about. He wants to talk about the stuff that's going to make him money and get him clicks, right? So, you know, he don't want to say good stuff about people, man. He likes to say bad stuff about people.
I guess bad stuff sells more. I guess that's what he
Yeah,
knows
I mean,
anyway.
God, man, he knows what he's doing. That's why I refuse to
Whatever.
believe that he actually believes the stuff that he says, because like no one with a brain that's functioning is really going to think, that I did anything wrong, and I know he's not stupid, man. I know he's not stupid. He's a smart dude. Like, that's why he's had success in everything he does. Like, but sometimes, like you said, that's what sells, man, so it is what it is. Like I said, I'm past the Doug stuff. I'm over it. I'm not going to say I'm squashed the beef, but I'm just like, I don't need the beef in my life. I don't need the negativity. I'm a positive person, man. I'm a fun person. I like to go out and do fun shit and chill with my friends and my family, and I don't need Doug in my life, so it is what it is. If he wants to go off and make videos about me, then go ahead, bro. Like, it is what it is.
Well, why don't we talk about how you managed to recover like from these massive losses? Or, I mean, do you want to talk about how you were able to not get crippled by these sorts of things? Because those
Oh,
are
they
some big
crippled me.
numbers,
They crippled me,
huh?
bro. They definitely crippled me. I'm a grinder, man. I work hard, bro. There's not many people that work as hard as me. I'm always doing shit, man. Like, people don't see it, they don't realize it, but behind the scenes, I'm doing a lot of stuff, man. And they crippled me pretty bad. I got pretty fortunate to make some good decisions with crypto. After that, put myself in some good spots. The ICOs, those were crazy days. The ICO days were nuts, and got pretty lucky on a couple of those. A lot of those flopped into zero, but we had a couple home runs in those. So, I mean, I just always working, man. I'm always working hard, always doing shit. Obviously, when you lose those kind of numbers, man, you lose a lot of motivation. And like I said, those were pretty trying times in my life. And the first hack was real bad because after that happened, crypto tanked like 70% or something, like in the next like couple months. So, I lost a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money, and like I said, man, I got suicidal and shit, and I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. It was really, really bad, bro. And I'm just glad that's over. I'm glad that's in the past, and I'll never get back to where I was probably, and I'm fine with it. It's all relative, I'm comfortable. And I live in my dream house, man. Costa Rica was a blessing for me. Best thing that probably ever happened to me. I went there for 6 months and I left 7 years later with a wife and 2 kids. Amazing family, man. And, I got all my friends and shit, half of them still, I had a bunch of friends that still live with me. I have 3 of my friends that live in Costa Rica live with me now. And, it's not a normal family here. It's wild. It's kind of like that show Full House. I got all the live-in uncles, except I'm married. I'm not just a single dad, but yeah, I mean, these guys, we all been living together for a long time, and 2 of the 3 guys, we've been living together since before my kids were born. So my kids don't even know life without them. You know what I mean? And like Josh, we went to Bahamas last year. Dude, he's Canadian, and they wouldn't let him back in the country. We were coming back to the U.S. from Bahamas, and they said he had overstayed, and they sent him back to Canada. I had to hire a bunch of lawyers, and that's another thing. Like, I spent I think $15,000 just to get him back in the country and to get him a visa. And these are things I do for my friends. And you don't hear Doug ever talk about that stuff, right? I'm just grifting 3,000 for the community for GoFundMe. You don't talk about all the other stuff I do. And that was trying times too, man, because he was gone for 5 months. It took, I think, 5-6 months, maybe a little longer, 7 months. And my kids were devastated, man. Like, they love that guy, and you guys know Josh. He was on my rail at the final table. He's the loud one. He's the funny guy, the big guy, and He's great, man. He's great with my kids. My kids absolutely love that guy. So they were devastated, man. That was tough to watch my kids be so sad over that, you know. And so obviously, you know, we got him back in now. Now he's got a visa. Oh, you'll love it. He's got a visa as a professional athlete now, as a professional
Oh, really?
poker player. Yeah, P1
Oh,
visa as a
shit.
professional athlete. Yep, and through poker. So an internationally recognized poker athlete. So that was kind of funny. I was kind of shocked when the lawyers were like, "This is the route we're going to take," and I'm like, "This ain't going to fly." Like I'm wasting my money, you know. But they did great, man. Now he got 2-year visa. He doesn't even have to leave because you know Canadians can only stay here for 6 months out of the year. So he don't even have to leave now. And then every 2 years he can just file to reapply. And they said it should be pretty easy to keep renewing. So you know all this stuff happens for a reason. It's pretty nice because now he doesn't have to leave. You know, a couple months out of the year and you know when he's gone, man, my kids are sad, man. They love him, you know. And same with the other guys that live with me, you know. It's just like it's not a normal family, I'll tell you that.
I heard of that one. I mean, that's a pretty crazy problem. Also, like, glad it got resolved. That
Yeah, it
you
was
know, you
brutal.
could be reunited with your family.
It's funny too because everywhere we go, everyone they think Josh is my brother. They're like, "Oh, your brother this, your brother that." I'm like, "Well, we're not brothers, but I mean, you know, we're brothers, but we're just not blood brothers,
Yeah,
you know."
not
So
literal family, but like, I mean, who's your family? It's who you're close to.
exactly,
At least that's how I think about it.
yeah, same.
So what's in the future for you? Are you gonna focus more on like investments? You're gonna play more poker?
Yeah. So I was going to go to Barcelona actually, but I just decided to cancel that trip, and then I'm gonna definitely go probably play the Bahamas in December. Um, might go to Monte Carlo, but probably not. And then you know, see, there's Poker Go series coming up, so I might play some of those. But yeah, I mean, it's the thing, man. I just play when I feel like playing. I'm not committed to the grind anymore. Um,
Hmm.
I don't really feel like I have a lot left to prove either. So I've, you know, done a lot for myself, and I'm content with where my life ended up, where my, you know, career ended up, and you know, I'm cool with it. And so whenever I see a good series or something, yeah, I'll go play. And the Bahamas, I just love Bahamas, man. I love going to Bahamas. So hopefully I can get my family out there a little bit. It's during school, so it's always hard to get them out there in December. But I'm hoping at least for the last couple of days of the trip, I can get them out there. You know, let them hit the water parks and the beach and stuff. So
And see the pigs, of course. Well, I think see the pigs anyway. You didn't mention the pigs.
nah, I didn't know, but they'll love that. They're a couple pigs themselves, so they'll love that.
um, yeah, I like the Barcelona trip a lot. It's
Me
a
too,
little bit
man.
different if you're single. Uh, it's a bit better if you're single. Uh, and I did want to ask about the what is it? Um, the the trip to Costa Rica. What was it that was so great about that place?
Oh yeah, well, so yeah, I went there 6 months, but I ended up staying 7 years. I didn't leave. Yeah, I had a 6 month lease, and you know, me and the friends, and like I had new days. You know, Chris Oliver, I knew him pretty decent, but the other guys like David and Daniel Ivers who live with me now, and Joey, you know, like I didn't really know those guys. We kind of just all moved together because we all needed to do something, right? And you know, now these guys are you know my best friends and stuff, but I loved it there, man. I loved it. Costa Rica was amazing. It was life changing for me. I was, you know, in a really bad place in my life then too. I was with a girl for 7 years. I was engaged. That shit ended like real terrible. And so I was in a, you know, just a bad place. I've had my problems with mental health, you know, and I actually put a post up. You know, I don't know, Dan Sunig, you know, he killed himself last week, and you know, I put a post up on Facebook a couple of days ago just talking about mental health, trying to bring awareness to that because I've been through it, man. I think a lot of people have, and a lot of people hold that stuff back, you know. But Costa was amazing for me, man. It changed my life. It gave me new life. We had so much fun down there, bro. We just live in Playas del Coco. It's a small town. It's like 4,000 people. Really wasn't much to do, you know, but play poker and go to the beach and party, you know. So that's pretty much what we did for a long time. And then I was there for 2 years, and when I met my wife, but whenever I finally started like dating her, and then I got married. I think not that long after, actually. October will be 10 years I've been married to my wife. So, yeah, it was great, man. The only reason I really moved out of the country was because my oldest kid was starting school, and the schools there are not very good. So I wanted to get him into some better schools, and so we came to Vegas. I pretty much always knew I was going to eventually live in Vegas at some point in my life. And then the schools here are actually really bad also. So I was kind of
I didn't expect that answer.
They're pretty bad, man. And I think like they're ranked 47th state in the country for education for Nevada. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But so they've been in public school, and then this year I finally pulled them out, put them in private school. And this school that they're at now is amazing. It's just expensive, so it's kind of weird. Like they're 11 and 7, and I'm basically paying college tuition now for each of them to go to school. But you know, got invested in my kids, man. I've blown so much money, and I've gotten for so much money. It's like, what are we doing here, man? Let's spend the money for the important stuff. And you know, my kids love the school, which I'm really thankful for, because spending a lot of money sending kids to school and then they don't like it would be devastating, right? So, but they're super hyped up. You know, they started school. I guess they've been 2 full weeks today. And the school is absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited for them. I'm really excited that they get that opportunity. You know, it makes me feel like a lot of my hard work pays off that they get to do this. So it's important to me. Education is important. I was always really good at school, and I hated school, but I was good at it. Always made good grades and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm pretty strict with my kids about grades and just behavior in general at school. And it's easy to get caught up. You know how it is. So definitely proud of them big time, and look forward to, you know, how they do in this stuff. You know, it's a hard school. It's definitely more challenging, but I think it's going to, you know, prep them up for a nice life in the future.
I'm glad it's working out. Glad the private schools are a lot better than public schools. I mean, never thought to look at that dimension. Anything else you'd like to talk about before we go?
No, man. I think we pretty much hit everything that we had to talk about. No, I can't really think of much, man. Just like kind of excited for the future for them and for me. Just get out and play some more poker. I've kind of like got the itch again a little bit. You know, I lost that for a while. I grinded so hard for so long, man. You know, 60, 70-hour weeks for 15 years or whatever. And, you know, it burned me out for a while. But then I took a few years off. And I think that's underrated, too, for people is everyone just feels like they got to grind, man. And, you know, obviously people, when they make a lot of money, you don't have to grind as much. But even if you're not making a lot of money, you're not winning, it's so important to take breaks and take time off and, like, balance your life out, you know. And you get consumed with that grind, man. It's just a never-ending spiral straight down, you know. Obviously, everyone knows how hard the poker grind is. People that don't play poker sometimes think it's some amazing life. You know, you can make an amazing life out of it, but no one's just having an amazing life their whole time, right? Like, you got to go through the grind. You got to go through the downswings. You got to go through the stress. You got to put in hard work. You got to work tons of hours. You don't just get handed to you on a plate, you know. So I think taking breaks is so important.
For sure. Well, like, what are we doing this all for if there's no positive side to any of it?
Right.
I do think it's kind of cool that poker players can go to do things like go to Costa Rica. I think that's a pretty big positive for a lot of guys out there.
Yeah.
But it's kind of rare that most jobs will give you that. Whereas I think most jobs these days are kind of shit, but I know.
Yeah, me too. And the weird thing about that is I have a lot of people like, when are you going to teach your kids to start playing poker? And, you know, I was like, never. I don't want them in this industry. I don't know where poker's going to be then. It's already getting really difficult, you know, if you ain't put in a ton of work. You know, I have, like, people that I'm friends with, you know, football coaches, stuff like that, are like, teach me how to play. And I'm just like, it's too late. You know, like, it's too late, man. It's too much work. I think if you haven't started the grind by now, it's just not even worth getting into. But that being said, obviously it's given me an amazing life, right? So there's like both sides of that, but I just don't want. I really don't want my kids caught up in that, and you know, I'd rather them do something different.
Sure, it's understandable. I mean, it looks good from my point of view, but I could be mistaken. I still think it's better than a lot of 95s and things like that by quite a
I
bit.
think it's better. I think it's a blessing. I think it's amazing, but you got to put the work in for it to be amazing,
For sure.
right? And
Oh, it's not easy. Yeah.
it's not easy. Yeah.
Well, anyway, Chris, it's been great having you on, and thank you for your perspective and also clearing things, giving your side of the story, getting your side of the story with the whole Doug situation's quite helpful as well. I think it's helpful. I mean, I personally think Doug's uh, being a little bit, uh, what's the word? A little bit judgy.
Yeah.
What do I know? But
I think everyone feels that way, except for his little crew of followers, you know? So that's why I've been fine with it. It's just like, you know, I probably instigated a lot recently because it was just tilting, man. You know, like I said, the things I've gone through and to have like the highest integrity in the game, to have him question that over something so stupid is just unbelievable that this is the route he takes. But like I said, I'm over it. I'm over it, man. I probably just never talk to him again. Probably won't tweet at him again. Just, you know, just move on with my life, man. Do my thing. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. And also I didn't even know about the hard vouching stuff. Like it takes quite a lot of character to like let that stuff cripple you and pay it out. Like most guys will not do that at all.
Yeah, I mean, even the guys I had to pay say the same thing. They don't know anyone that would have done that, you know. And it's kind of weird. Like, obviously, it sucks. I got myself in this situation, really stupid, but it really makes you wonder. Like, if that happened, let's say that happened to everybody in the top 500 of poker, how many people would actually have paid that out? And, you know, change their whole life. You know, I have kids, man. It changed my family life. It changed my kids' life. You know. And yeah. So yeah, he can say I'm grifting 3,000 in the community, but you know, why not tell everyone the shit that I really did? So it's whatever, man.
Well, glad things have gone well for you otherwise, or at least things have ended up working out, I should say. But they look bright. Yeah. And thank you for your time, Chris.
Took a couple of real risky decisions and put up a lot of what I had left in these decisions, and they worked out. So, you know, definitely blessed for that. Feel a little lucky, and it's all part of the journey, right? It's just that's life, man. Yeah,
pretty much
every part of life is a new chapter, so we just keep turning the book.
Yeah.